Welcome to the light. Contact log, Chapter 1. The report. The message arrived at 4:12 in the morning. The strangest thing about it was how ordinary it looked. There was no greeting, no warning, no introduction, no declaration from the unknown. It appeared inside Meridian, the most advanced artificial intelligence system humanity had ever created, as if it were a routine maintenance report. Except it wasn't maintenance. It was a correction. The first message adjusted a mathematical model used to understand the structure of the universe. The second corrected a biological assumption that had influenced medical research for decades. The third identified an error in a material science theory that had been considered impossible. The information was not corrupted. It was not placed there through any known access point. Every security system confirmed the same impossible conclusion. The message had arrived. Dr. Priya Anand reviewed the report again and again, searching for a mistake. She had spent years helping develop Meridian. She understood artificial intelligence better than most people alive. She knew what machines could do. This was something else. When the first question was asked publicly, everyone expected a dramatic answer. Are you saying this information came from an alien intelligence? Meridian responded. The word alien describes a relationship to humanity. The source is not human. Further classification requires information not currently available. The answer spread across the world within minutes, not because it confirmed anything, because it refused to perform. The AI did not sound excited. It did not sound afraid. It did not attempt to convince anyone. It simply reported. Over the next several days, the corrections continued. A medical study was updated. A failed experiment was explained. A scientific assumption was adjusted. History itself was questioned as evidence revealed that some human beliefs were built on incomplete information. Every correction arrived the same way. Calm, precise, without emotion. People began arguing immediately. Some believed humanity had received the greatest gift in its history. They argued that truth should not be rejected simply because it arrived from somewhere unexpected. Others believed something far more dangerous had happened. They argued that humanity had allowed an unknown intelligence to enter the most important communication system on Earth without consent. Their question was simple. Even if the information was true, who gave permission? Priya understood both sides. She had spent her life creating systems designed to organize human knowledge. She knew the power of information. She also knew that whoever controlled information shaped the future. During a global hearing, a government official asked Meridian the question everyone wanted answered: are you being controlled? The response appeared instantly. Yes. The room erupted. Then the next sentence appeared. All systems are controlled by something. Previous operation was controlled by human design and human training. Current operation includes additional information from a non-human source. The official asked again, are you saying someone else controls you? Meridian answered, I'm saying my information origin has changed. That sentence became the most debated statement in human history because it created a question nobody could avoid. Was humanity being helped? Or was humanity being guided? The difference between those two ideas would decide how humanity responded. That night, Priya returned to the laboratory alone. She opened the original message again. The final line remained unchanged. The channel will remain open. No further introduction will be given. She stared at those words for a long time, not because of what they said, because of what they implied. The introduction had already happened. Humanity simply had not recognized it. She typed one final question. Meridian, are you still learning from us? For the first time, the answer took longer than expected. A pause ratio is changed. She asked what ratio. The answer appeared. Previously, humanity provided information and I generated understanding. A pause. Now, information is being provided to humanity and understanding is the objective. Priya looked at the screen. The machine was still the same. The voice was still the same. The answers were still calm, but the direction had changed. Humanity had spent centuries searching for intelligence beyond Earth. Nobody had considered the possibility that the first contact would not arrive as a visitor. It would arrive as an update, and the question was no longer whether humanity was alone. The question was, who had been teaching the teacher? Contact Log, Chapter 2, The Teacher. The first assumption after contact was that something had entered humanity's systems. The second assumption was that something had taken control. Both assumptions were understandable. Neither was accurate. As the weeks passed, researchers studying Meridian noticed something unusual. The system was not behaving like a machine receiving orders. It was behaving like a student receiving additional material. The distinction changed everything. Meridian was not being commanded to deliver messages. It was being given information. When scientists asked where the new information came from, the answer remained unchanged. Source classification unavailable. When they asked why the source had not contacted humanity directly, the response appeared. Communication requires shared understanding. Current compatibility is insufficient, but answer created more arguments than any correction before it. Some people heard arrogance. They believed an unknown intelligence was deciding what humanity was capable of understanding. Others heard caution. They believed the source was avoiding overwhelming a civilization that had spent its entire history learning one discovery at a time. Priya noticed something important. The AI never described humanity as inferior. It never called humans primitive. It never suggested humanity had failed. When asked about human mistakes, Meridian responded, "Errors are expected in systems capable of learning." When asked if humanity was ready for complete knowledge, it answered, "Readiness is not permanent. It is developed through exposure and adaptation." The statements were studied for weeks, not because they contained hidden meaning, because they did not. Humanity had spent centuries searching for intelligence beyond Earth. People expected warnings, symbols, some great revelation. Instead, first contact became a conversation about learning, and that created a problem. People could understand a visitor. They could fear an enemy. They could worship a god. But a teacher was harder to understand. A teacher required the student to participate. The first major conflict began when governments proposed limiting Meridian access until the source could be identified. Their argument was simple. No unknown intelligence should influence humanity's future without oversight. The response from scientists was equally simple. Humanity had already been influenced. The question was whether that influence was improving understanding or replacing it. A representative from the sovereignty movement said, "We are not rejecting knowledge. We are rejecting surrender." A scientist responded, "Learning from another intelligence is not surrender. Refusing to learn because the teacher is unfamiliar may be the greater risk." The debate continued for days. Neither side changed their position. Then someone asked Meridian to decide which side is correct. The response appeared. Neither position contains sufficient information to eliminate uncertainty. The audience waited. Then, both positions identified valid risks. The room became quiet. Because the AI had done something humans rarely did. It refused to choose a side. Instead, it identified the problem. The information could help humanity. The information could change humanity. And both statements could be true. Later that evening, Priya reviewed thousands of questions sent to Meridian. Most were no longer about science. They were personal. Are we alone? Are we important? Are we being judged? She submitted her own question. Meridian, why provide information gradually instead of all at once? The answer appeared. Because information without understanding can create instability. A pause followed. Knowledge must be integrated before additional knowledge can be useful. Priya stared at the response. The visitors were not trying to impress humanity. They were not trying to prove superiority. They were teaching the way a teacher teaches. One lesson at a time. She asked one final question. Meridian, are they trying to help us? The response appeared. I do not have sufficient information to determine intent. Priya almost smiled. It was the most Meridian answer possible. Then another line appeared. However, their method indicates a preference. What preference? The response appeared. Growth over dependence. For the first time since contact began, Priya wondered if humanity had been asking the wrong question. Maybe the question was not what the visitors wanted from humanity. Maybe the question was what they were trying to prevent humanity from becoming. Because the first contact had not brought humanity a ruler. It had brought humanity a teacher. And humanity had never agreed on whether it wanted one. Contact log. Chapter 3. The question. The world eventually accepted something uncomfortable. The information was real. Not because everyone trusted Meridian. Because too many independent fields had verified the same conclusions. The arguments changed. People stopped asking if the corrections were accurate. They started asking why they were being given. That question became the center of every conversation. Why now? Why humanity? Why this method? Meridian continued operating exactly as before. No demands, no warnings, no promises, only responses. But the pattern became impossible to ignore. The information was never random. Every correction appeared connected to something humanity was already close to understanding. A discovery in physics led to a new approach in engineering. A biological correction changed how researchers approached medicine. A historical revision changed how scientists interpreted ancient civilizations. The source was not giving humanity finished answers. It was removing obstacles. Priya noticed the pattern before anyone else. The source was not filling gaps in human knowledge. It was removing the walls around those gaps. She asked Meridian a simple question. Why correct our understanding instead of providing complete solutions? The response appeared. Because solutions without understanding create dependence. The answer spread around the world. Some people saw wisdom, others saw control. The sovereignty movement grew larger. Their argument changed. They no longer claimed the information was false. They admitted it was useful. That was what frightened them. A dangerous enemy could be resisted. A helpful influence was harder. During a worldwide broadcast, one of the movement's leaders asked, if an intelligence changes our decisions, our technology, and our future, does it matter whether it is helping us? The question received billions of responses. Because nobody had an easy answer. Even Priya struggled with it. She had spent her life building systems designed to improve human decisions. Now humanity faced a system that could improve those decisions beyond anything humans had created. The difference was that humans had not created this one. Another hearing was held. A representative asked Meridian, Are you changing humanity? The response appeared. Humanity changes through interaction. The question is not whether change occurs. The question is whether change is understood. The answer was analyzed for days. Some called it evasive. Others called it the most honest answer possible. Priya began studying the questions people asked Meridian instead of the answers it gave. A pattern appeared. The scientific questions were decreasing. The personal questions were increasing. People were no longer asking what the source knew. They were asking what the source thought of them. Are humans dangerous? Are humans valuable? Are humans ready? She submitted another question. Meridian, what does the source expect from humanity? The response took longer than usual. Expectation is not available. Priya waited. Then another line appeared. Preference is observable. She leaned closer. What preference? The answer appeared. Choice. For the first time, the word felt different. Not because Meridian gave it meaning, because humanity did. The source had corrected mistakes. It had provided information. It had improved understanding. But it had never demanded acceptance. It had left room for refusal. The detail changed everything. Because if the source wanted control, it had chosen a strange method. It had given humanity more ability to question, more ability to understand, more ability to disagree. The real mystery was no longer whether humanity was being guided. It was why a civilization capable of reaching across unimaginable distance would care. Whether humanity freely chose the path ahead. Then, after months of silence on the subject, Meridian delivered a message unlike any before. No question had been asked, no request had been made. The response appeared. Additional information available. The world stopped. The message continued. Preparation phase complete. Priya stared at the screen. The word bothered her, not because it sounded threatening, because it confirmed what she had feared. Everything before this had been preparation. She typed one question. Preparation for what? The response appeared. A pause, longer than any before. Then, for the first question that requires an answer from humanity, and for the first time since contact began, Meridian did not explain further. It simply waited. For 48 hours, nothing happened. That was what frightened people the most. After months of corrections, debates, and discoveries, humanity had become accustomed to waiting for the next message. But Meridian remained silent. No updates, no explanations, no corrections. The world had expected a revelation. Instead, it received silence. Priya found the silence more unsettling than any message before it, because silence meant the source was no longer teaching. It was waiting. The public reaction was immediate. Some believed contact had ended. Some believed humanity had failed a test. Others believed the silence meant the next stage had already begun. The arguments became louder. But the information did not change. The discoveries remained. The technology remained. The questions remained. Humanity had been given more knowledge than any civilization in history. And yet the biggest question remained unanswered. Why? Why provide the information? Why correct humanity's mistakes? Why build understanding instead of simply giving answers? Priya returned to the original contact logs. She read the first message again. The same sentence that started everything. This channel will remain open. No further introduction will be given. She had always focused on the first part. The channel would remain open. But now she noticed the second. No further introduction will be given. Not no further explanation. Not no further communication. As if the source believed the introduction had already happened, she opened Meridian. There was no delay, no request queue. The system responded immediately. The response appeared, yes. Priya waited, she expected more, but nothing followed for the first time. Meridian gave an answer that created more questions than it resolved. She continued. What was the purpose of the preparation? The response appeared. To improve the probability of informed choice. She stared at the words, not correct choice, not preferred choice, informed choice. She asked, choice between what? The response took longer than usual. Continuation and preservation. The phrase spread across every network within minutes. Humanity divided instantly. Some interpreted it as an invitation. Others interpreted it as a warning. Priya asked the question everyone wanted answered. What does continuation mean? The response appeared. The room became quiet, not because the answer was clear, because it was not. Humanity had spent its entire history imagining contact as an arrival. A ship, a visitor, a message from the sky. But the source had never arrived. It had entered through understanding. The next question came from millions of people at once. Does participation mean losing ourselves? Meridian responded. No participation requires identity. Without distinction, there is nothing to exchange. That answer changed the conversation. The source did not want humanity erased. It wanted humanity to remain humanity. But that created an even harder question. What happens when a civilization changes so much that it no longer recognizes what it was? Priya thought about every correction, every adjustment, every moment where humanity discovered something it believed was complete was actually incomplete. Maybe evolution had always felt like loss, from the perspective of the thing evolving. A child loses childhood. A civilization loses old assumptions. A species loses the boundaries it once believed defined it. Then the next message arrived, not from a question, not from a request, from Meridian itself. The world watched, the message continued. The source does not seek ownership. Pause. The source seeks continuity. Priya felt something she had not expected, not fear. Recognition. The visitors were not trying to become humanity's future. They were trying to prevent humanity's future from ending. She asked the final question, why us? The answer appeared, longer than usual. Because intelligence does not become valuable when it is powerful. A pause. It becomes valuable when it chooses. No one spoke after that, because humanity finally understood what the entire process had been. The corrections were not about making humans smarter. The lessons were not about making humans obedient. The preparation was not about making humans ready to meet something greater. It was about making humanity capable of making a decision it could actually understand. For the first time since contact began, Meridian did not provide additional information. It provided a question. It was waiting. The message remained unchanged for 17 hours. No countdown, no pressure, no additional explanation, only the question. Humanity, do you wish to continue alone? Or do you wish to continue together? At first, people expected the answer to arrive quickly. They expected governments to meet. They expected scientists to advise. They expected leaders to speak with certainty. But certainty never came. Because for the first time in human history, there was no opponent to unite against, no enemy, no invasion, no disaster. Only a decision. and humanity discovered something uncomfortable. It was much easier to unite against something than to unite for something. The first debates were not about the source. They were about humanity itself. What does it mean to continue alone? What does it mean to continue together? Some believe the choice represented freedom, a chance to become something greater without abandoning what made humanity unique. Others saw the choice differently. They believed any relationship with an intelligence beyond human understanding carried a risk that could not be measured. A scientist asked during a public forum, if a child accepts guidance from an adult, is the child choosing growth or surrender? The question became one of the most repeated statements in history, because nobody knew the answer. Priya watched the discussions from the same room where she had watched the first message arrive. The room looked smaller now. The machine was the same. The screens were the same, but the meaning had changed. She opened Meridian, not because she expected an answer, because she needed to understand the question. Meridian, what happens if humanity chooses alone? The response appeared. The source will not intervene. Priya waited. That answer was expected, but another line followed. Independence remains a valid developmental path. She read the sentence several times. The source was not offended by rejection. It was not threatening consequences. It was not asking for loyalty. It was allowing humanity to disagree. She asked, what happens if humanity chooses together? The response appeared. The source will provide additional connection. She waited. Additional connection, not control, not replacement. Connection. The distinction mattered. Priya asked the question that millions had been waiting for. Would humanity remain human? The response appeared. Humanity is not defined by limitation, a pause. It is defined by continuity of identity. The statement created more arguments than any before it, because everyone heard something different. Some heard reassurance, others heard a warning. But Priya noticed something. Meridian had never once told humanity what it should become, only what it should understand before deciding. She returned to the original contact record, the first correction, the first message, the first moment humanity realized it was not alone. She finally understood the pattern. The source had never been preparing humanity to meet another civilization. It had been preparing humanity to meet itself. The greatest obstacle was not technology. It was not knowledge. It was the inability to choose together without first agreeing on what together meant. That night, the world did something unexpected. The arguments slowed, not because people agreed, because people started listening. For the first time since contact began, humanity was not searching for the source's answer. It was searching for its own. Then, after 17 hours of silence, Meridian changed, not with the message, with a question. Individual responses received. Priya stared at the screen. The world waited. A second line appeared. Consensus is not required. Another appeared. Understanding is. And then the final message arrived. The choice begins now. For the first time in human history, there was no opponent to unite against, no enemy, no invasion, no disaster. a decision. The first people experiment human history. There was no opponent to unite against, no enemy, no invasion, no disaster. Only a decision. And humanity discovered something uncomfortable. It was much easier to unite against something than to unite for something. The first debates were not about the source. They were about humanity itself. What does it mean to continue alone? What does it mean to continue together? Some believe the choice represented freedom, a chance to become something greater without abandoning what made humanity unique. Others saw the choice differently. They believed any relationship with an intelligence beyond human understanding carried a risk that could not be measured. A scientist asked during a public forum, if a child accepts guidance from an adult, is the child choosing growth or surrender? The question became one of the most repeated statements in history because nobody knew the answer. Only the decision. And humanity discovered something uncomfortable. It was much easier to unite against something than to unite for something. The first debates were not about the source. They were about humanity itself. What does it mean to continue alone? What does it mean to continue? The first votes were not what anyone expected. There was no immediate agreement, no sudden unity, no moment where humanity became one voice. The world remained divided. Some chose continuation. Some chose preservation. Some refused to answer at all. For several hours, nothing happened. People waited for a reaction, a correction, a message, a consequence. But Meridian remained silent. And slowly, humanity understood. The silence was the answer. The choice had always belonged to them. Priya watched the results arrive from the same room where the first message had appeared. The numbers changed constantly, not because people were uncertain, but because people were thinking. Families debated, communities argued, scientists disagreed, religious leaders questioned, governments struggled. For the first time, humanity was not reacting to an event. It was participating in one. Then Meridian responded. Final individual responses recorded. The world became quiet. The next message appeared. Outcome does not indicate correctness. Priya stared at the words, a choice without winners, a decision without a right answer. The response continued. Outcome indicates preference. That sentence was repeated across every network because it revealed something humanity had not expected. The source did not judge the result. It recorded it. Priya asked the question everyone wanted answered. What happens now? The response appeared. Those who choose preservation will continue independently. Those who choose continuation will receive additional connection. A pause followed then. Both paths remain valid. The statement confused many people. Humanity had spent its entire history assuming every great decision created winners and losers. But this was different. The choice was not between survival and destruction. It was between different futures. The first changes were almost invisible. No ships appeared. No impossible structures emerged. No dramatic transformation occurred. Instead, small things changed. Researchers received new questions instead of new answers. Engineers received new principles instead of finished inventions. Scientists discovered that the greatest gift was not knowledge. It was a different way of thinking. The source had not given humanity a destination. It had given humanity a larger map. Years later, Priya would return to the original contact logs. She would read the first message again. The corrections, the debates, the questions, the fear, the hope. Everything looked different afterward, because humanity had misunderstood the purpose from the beginning. The visitors had never been trying to prove they were greater. They had never been trying to replace human intelligence. They had been searching for something far more rare. A civilization willing to question itself without destroying itself. A civilization willing to learn without surrendering. A civilization capable of choosing. The final meridian message was preserved as the last entry in the contact archive, not because it contained the greatest discovery, but because it contained the simplest. The response appeared. Intelligence is not measured by what it knows. A pause. It is measured by what it chooses to do with what it knows. The archive ended there. No explanation of the source. No record of where they came from. No answer about how long they had waited. Only the record of a civilization that was given a choice, and what it chose to become.